Hey everyone! For this week's tutorial, I was recently watching some Outlast Let's Plays and wanted to see if I could recreate the night vision effect you're looking at through most of that game. I did, but I also found out that there's a preset to do this that would have saved me a lot of that time. So to pull off a night vision effect, we're gonna need 5 things. The first is taking the footage you'll be using and bringing it into After Effects. Over that, we have the distinct green color. Then we have a blurred look to the effect because night vision cameras tend to be not great. On top of it all, we then have film grain. How much will depend on the quality of the camera you're trying to emulate. And last we have scanlines, or those horizontal lines across footage from CRT monitors and crappy cameras. By default, the preset has all of this in mind. To add it, open up your Effects and Presets window and up at the top, click in the white bar and type Night. When night vision shows up, drag it into your layer, or if you have a layer selected, just double click it and it'll be applied. At the top of the effect, we'll have a solid composite. This is an effect that acts like a solid layer, making everything one color. This will be set to the green color we need by default. Next up is the source opacity. This lets you fade the footage under your color, making the color more or less transparent. If you pull this all the way to 0, the color will be completely solid in the entire comp, as though it were a fill layer. Under that we have the actual color that we're using. If you want something different than night vision, you can change this up here, either using the eyedropper or clicking in the color picker box. The next setting is another opacity. This one is for the effect as a whole over your footage. So if you drop this one, as opposed to the source opacity, the colors will fade more. And at the bottom of this is the blending mode. By default, this is set to luminosity mode. This is how you get the contrast you see, with darks getting darker and light colors getting much brighter, all while changing the footage to the color you picked. So now we have that telltale green look to everything. For our blurred look, the preset uses the Minimax effect. This is a channel effect, or one of the effects that uses your colors and transparencies for various different looks. Minimax, in particular, will blur the footage by expanding and blending similar colors together and pushes their values to the extremes. The first setting for this, its operation, will set how everything's being combined. This will make your colors darker and blend similar hues together. By default, it's set to maximum, which will push the colors in the footage to their brightest settings. Combined with the solid composite, this will bring things much brighter and blend them together. If you change it to minimum, then maximum, it will first perform the minimum and then, over those blended colors, will blend them even more with a maximum transformation. And naturally, the maximum then minimum will do the opposite of that. Changing the radius under that will make bigger spots of color, which means more blur. Under that is the channel setting. This decides what the blur is being used on. You can change it from color, which is all the colors in your image, to red, green, or blue as well. You also have options for basing it on the alpha of your footage, or any transparencies. And there's an option to combine all the colors and your transparency as well. Next up is the direction. This is exactly what it sounds like. By default, it will blur your footage vertically and horizontally, but you can also change it to do one or the other on their own. The last setting is the Don't Shrink Edges toggle. Gonna be honest, I don't know what it does, and I couldn't find anything anywhere that answered either, so I just don't touch it and hope it's okay. The next part of our effect is our film grain. To do this, we use one of the noise and grain effects. In the case of the preset, we're using the noise effect, which randomly changes pixel values or how dark or bright things are. You can control how much grain you have in the footage by changing the amount of noise. Generally speaking, the darker a scene is, or the crappier the camera you're faking, the higher you'll want to push this. The second setting is what kind of noise you're making. By default, noise will be grayscale or black and white, but you can change it to be colored noise if you so desire. Though in the case of this particular preset, under the solid composite, it won't really matter. And then comes the clipping. This, by default, keeps your noise subtle. Turning it off will make it much more obvious. Noise is an automatic effect, meaning you don't actually need to animate anything manually. It'll animate as your footage goes through. Finally, the last part of our effect, the Scanlines, comes in. Preset uses Venetian blinds. This is a transition effect acting like, well, Venetian blinds being pulled up or down. The footage underneath is revealed like you're looking through a blind. Depending on how high the number is for your transition completion, your footage will be made more or less transparent. You can also change the number or drag in the wheel next to direction to make your lines come in from different angles. Changing the width setting will let you make the scan lines thicker or thinner. Lastly, the feather setting will change how hard the edges of your blinds are. You can change this, as with all feather settings, to have the blinds blend more or less with the footage. As I said before, you'll want to keep in mind that this is a way of masking your footage. So anywhere the blinds are, the footage underneath will show through. Because of that, you'll probably want to add something under your footage to show through. You can get tricky with this, trying to show hidden images in the lines, or you can just add a solid underneath everything. And now you have your night vision. It might be all you need here, and don't think that just because it's a preset, you'll be lazy for using it. Using it can save you time and effort, which is why presets are there to begin with. And that was how to make a night vision effect in After Effects. I hope everyone's learned something and had fun doing it. If you have any questions, thoughts, or other feedback, you can let me know with a comment below or with a message to @ET_studios on Twitter. You can also like this video and share it around, I'd appreciate the help getting the word out. And I'm planning to be back here every Friday, so be sure to subscribe for more awesome content. Have a great day, everyone.